So, you just listened to us talk about Game of Thrones and you're back for more. I hope you're back
Oh
for more.
my God. Yeah.
So, this is the big one. This is episode 10.
This is episode 10, man.
It's our 10th
We're
anniversary.
Here. The 10th anniversary. We're 10 episodes deep.
So, for those that have been listening along, you should know this begins our Star Wars trilogy. So,
this does begin our Star Wars trilogy, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, I am too. For those that don't know, in Star Wars tradition, we can't just have one episode about Star Wars. It's got to be a trilogy.
Yeah,
So,
it's got to be a trilogy. Come on now.
Episode 10, Episode 11, and Episode 12 are all going to be Star Wars, so brace for it. Episode 10, we're going to talk about Episodes 1, 2, and 3 and Solo. Episode 11, we are going to talk about Episodes 4, 5, and 6 and Rogue One. And then Episode 12, we are going to discuss Episodes 7 and 8, as well as Episode 9 trailers and stuff. So, being our normal little catch-up thing, and Aaron being a big geek as I am, my wife shared something with us on Facebook that I think is actually really cool. I just found out that not far from me is a board game bistro where they've got, it looks, in the picture, it looks like hundreds of board games. It actually looks really cool. And you can go in and they've got beer on tap. They've got a full coffee bar. Looks like a cool little place. They sell the games that you get to play. So you can, if you like a game that you're playing while you're having, your drinks and a little bit of food, you can buy it. It looks really cool. So if you're ever in the BC area of Canada, the Raving Gamer Bistro looks like a cool place. And though they are not paying us for this, I would love to have a sponsor at some point. But I think as a family, we're going to go check this place out. So I just wanted to share it with others to help support other geek culture out there. So
Sounds pretty awesome, man. That'd be dope. Yeah, the one of the cool things the wife and I always do is we like to watch all the Star Wars movies together. This will be the first time we've done all of them since since episode 8 came out. So we have never, I think we've only rewatched Rogue One once. And then this is our first time rewatching Solo, but it's never been a part of our binging.
yeah.
So this is the first time that Jess and I get to binge all of the movies. And it really was seriously fun watching episodes 1, 2, 3, and Solo, like analytically.
Yes.
Right? Because I always watch the movies to just watch the movies, right? And I'll be honest, like, it's funny because in our last episode I talk about pretty heavily on fans and how much hate they get, and we're in the midst of where Star Wars really took a turn for the worse. So
Arguably.
I'm sure everybody knows. Yeah, well, yeah, because yeah. We'll get there.
I've already, so before we really get into it, I know I'm cutting you off. I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off. I'm just saying that now. Over the next 3 episodes, people are going to hate me. So, okay, continue.
It's impossible to hate you. So it's going to be interesting because I will say purely analytically, this is the best I could do without my personal opinions on the movies I want to breach. And the reason for you guys, you've noticed a kind of a stance on this. So Endgame, right? We did Endgame, and this might not be might not be something you guys are a fan of, and that's fine. Give us feedback on that. But for us, Star Wars is ending the Skywalker series this year. We're ending, Marvel's big time universe for the MCU just took its a phenomenal 10-year build up end, and Game of Thrones just ended. And then I know this is kind of on another kind of geeky side. I love Magic the Gathering, and they've been building a story with an evil big dragon called Nicol Bolas, and it just did its finale, and that's been happening over the last few years. So like, all these cool things are kind of doing their ending in 2019. It's a big year for ending. So I feel like this is the perfect time to talk about where we sit. And for geeks, for people who love and fall in love with these stories, for so many of them to be ending in 1 year, that's a big deal. It's a lot to take in. And I think, with Steve and I, we enjoy we enjoy so much to talk about these things, and for us, it's, it's a time for us to kind of BS a little bit together, and we get to talk to the fans of the show, and we get, it's a culmination of a lot of cool things we get to do together and have some fun doing, and it's been fun, and it challenges us to look at things from a different angle. For Endgame and Game of Thrones, very emotional responses, yes. I think. When it comes to things like that, for Steve and I, it's raw, right? For this, I've rewatched Star Wars so many times, it's unreal. There's been time to heal over certain things and to look at things differently, and to really to take this on board and look at this from a completely different perspective. Like I said, from a more analytical standpoint. I think it was a lot of fun. It was funny because Jess kept making fun of me as I pull out my phone, and I've got all my little notes here that I took for each episode. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Sorry.
I didn't get to write down notes because I'll be honest, with everything else going on the last few weeks, I haven't been as prepared. I watched all the I watched every movie. I rewatched them all so they were fresh with different eyes. I didn't get to take notes like I wanted to, but it is what it is. Hell, I was watching Solo while at work. So, yeah, there's that. So, yeah, let's begin. Episode 1.
1999, man.
I know.
1999. I remember seeing Darth Maul and that dual lightsaber. It's the prime time thing, and they celebrated a 20th anniversary at Star Wars Celebration for The Phantom Menace, which is the name of episode 1. And they celebrated that 20-year milestone for how long that movie's been out. And it definitely, watching it again, the datedness of it shows.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I didn't have so again, yeah, rewatching it through different eyes and time to heal, I didn't have the hatred for it that I did when it first came out.
Yeah, and I found that rewatching episodes 1 through 3, so the many times I've now watched it as an adult, a couple things still stand tall as things I don't like. But one of the things that that's grown on me especially is episode 3 especially, and we'll get to that, where that movie's really grown, and we'll come to it. But episode 1, so for me, well, how is it for you? Let's start there. How do you feel about episode 1?
So what I blah, blah, blah. Great. Welcome to CanYouGeekS Podcast, where Steve cannot talk today.
That's fair.
So my opinion on episode 1 changed in that I don't hate it as much. I still have absolute issue with Jar Jar Binks and that whole race. I just found them so poorly written. I didn't imply race to them. Like, I can let other people do that. Just their culture and everything of being like this dumb people that lived underwater, it bothered me. Everything else, though, I started to realize I really enjoyed the droids. Not like C-3PO and stuff, but the actual like droid army. They had characters in them. Like, they had their own personalities, where you think, oh, it's a droid, it's just going to be this, like, okay, somebody told me to do something. But they actually had different personalities between the different people. And it started off showing you right away, like in the first scene when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go to negotiate, and they're in the room, and then the droids come to kill or destroy what's left of them in the room. They're like, oh, we'll follow you, Sergeant. And he's like, okay. And then you see the lightsabers turn on, and he's like, uh-oh. Like, it's a droid. He shouldn't be afraid. Like, he should just, oh, okay, let's shoot them. But no, he had fear, and then they backed up, and that fear permeated through all of the droids when it came to the Jedi. Like, there were little things like that were just geniusly well done. And so watching it back, I didn't get to see those things initially when I first watched it. So watching this again for like the 6th time, it's stuff like that I noticed that I fell in love with. So
yeah, so rewatching 1 was interesting, and it's funny because I think Clone Wars, and this is one thing that I really think you're going to find as well. Clone Wars has made episodes 1, 2, and 3 a lot more viable for me, and that's because Clone Wars is so well done. Clone Wars is incredible. It really plays on the characters in a really, really neat way. But there's still some things that are, to me, kind of unforgiving. So for those of you that might not follow Star Wars quite as much or closely or whatever, so episodes 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 all are under George Lucas. Like, that's still George
and
Lucas.
put out by Fox, which I didn't realize 1, 2, and 3 were put out by Fox.
So in the end, Disney owns everything. Yeah. But either way, like, this is George Lucas's baby still. So it's the creator of Star Wars still playing in his own universe, and he's telling the story of the Skywalker saga. So that's why it's important that you understand, like, that Star Wars isn't over this year. It's the Skywalker saga. The 9-episode Skywalker saga piece is what's focused on, right? So we're seeing the ending to that come December. And it all starts with what they call an immaculate conception. So they kind of go a Jesus way about the birth of Anakin with his mom. And I don't know, I don't really like that, because then it starts talking about midichlorians. So for those of you who don't know what midichlorians are, it's a scientific explanation for the Force, the living Force, and it's uncool, in my opinion. I still don't like it.
No, I completely agree with you. Rewatching it, though, to me, it doesn't sound like they are. So I don't know if it was just because I was trying to broad mind it and not nitpick. To me, it sounded more like midichlorians were a way for you to see how attuned to the Force a being was. It wasn't the scientific explanation of the Force. It was just an actual measurable entity within something that you could see how attuned somebody was to the abilities of the Force.
This isn't Dragon Ball Z. I don't need a power level.
No,
I'm just saying that I don't need to see that Anakin Skywalker's over 9,000. You know what I mean?
I don't blame you. I completely agree. It didn't need to happen, and it was probably one of the bad things to happen. I see it in a different light now, watching it for like however many times.
And it was hard for me to see it differently, even analytically. Like, I just couldn't. And the reason being is because the Force, the living Force, and Jedi, right? Nobody needs to know about midichlorians but the Jedi. Like, the Jedi, like, you know what I mean? So why even have them, right? It's just the Force. Like, there's no need to explain more to it. It's something they feel. It's a power inside. Like, the Force is strong with this one. You don't need to know that it's a numerical value. Like, I don't need that. I don't need it. And to me, it was still off-putting. And this might be just something I can't separate emotion from. I just didn't enjoy it. When you talk about Anakin, like, and it's sad because that actor got crapped on
shit
bad.
On.
And a lot of bad things happen with that. And it sucks because I think back to 99, cool things still holds true. Like, pod racing's still neat. Like, I thought that was cool, man.
Pod racing
it's racing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was super. It was super cool, and it was neat. And that still plays into a Jedi. Like, you know, as a human, being able to do something that requires that sort of like reaction time and stuff. Like, it was cool to see. Like, that made sense. Like, and they didn't need midichlorians to tell you that, right? Like, Qui-Gon just knew the kid was right, and yet he needs to take his. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. I totally understand it. I'm just saying that I'm not as angry at it as I used to be because I was able to separate myself somehow. Part of it could be. So before we started recording this, I told you about sort of a leak / rumor that kind of came out, and it kind of ties into the whole thing. Not the midichlorian part, but I think it's changing my. If what is being said is true, which part of it is already kind of canon, I think. Was the Darth Vader comic series considered canon? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of that is.
So part of it is that, which part of that came from a scene that was cut out of episode 3 that is being rumored to be included in episode 9. So I know people are gonna get confused. So
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You've lost.
It ties into what you just talked about. So the immaculate conception of Anakin Skywalker. It wasn't so immaculate, is what it turns out to be. It was orchestrated. And in the Darth Vader comics, they show you who his father is through the eyes of actually Anakin himself. So he dies and goes off to the spirit plane, just like you see in the movies with the Force spirit ghosts. He goes to the Sith version, where he gets to see key points in his own life and see how stuff happened. And he gets to see how he was brought about being. And this could be major spoilers. And again, holy shit, we're doing another spoiler thing. But it's been in the comics for 2, 3, 4, 5 years now or something. Like, this isn't something new. The person who orchestrates the midichlorians forming and creating him and his mother is Emperor Palpatine. So while he's in the Force world, Palpatine is able to send his spirit to immaculately conceive Anakin inside and start the Skywalker birth line. And in so doing, orchestrates everything that happens going forward. And so the reason this all came out today, from what I'm reading, is J.J. Abrams, who's leading episode 9, which scares the hell out of a lot of people. But if this interview was true, he said that he's bringing stuff that was cut out of episodes 1, 2, and 3 that are going to change the way you looked at every single episode and what you hated about them from the very beginning, and tie everything together on a whole nother level.
I like that, though. Like, I'd be interested to see
the fact that the trailer... Yeah, I'm super interested to see it now, too. And the fact that they have Emperor Palpatine's laugh at the end of the first teaser trailer, and me reading this, I was, like, super jazzed. And I think it totally changed the way I viewed everything else. And so why I'm looking at it with rose-colored glasses right now instead of hating on everything like I used to, I think is totally impacted by that little bit of news. And the fact that if he's able to do what he's doing, J.J. Abrams goes from being one of my most hated directors to one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's interesting. We should really...
That really should be episode 11,
yeah, way to
12.
go.
I know, because it's supposed to go with...
Man, you could have waited for that. Like,
but
we have so much to talk about right now.
What we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but you could have tied it. You could have tied it later and made it just like JJ did. You could have been like JJ. You could have waited and brought it in later. I'm just saying, we have a lot to talk about.
I know we do have a lot to talk about.
So yeah, the Immaculate Conception midichlorians still bother me. So I do want to talk about Jar Jar.
Yeah.
So I tried to look at him from the standpoint, him and the Gungans. I tried to look at that whole thing. The Gungans really don't bother me. I mean, you look at different alien races and how they react to things, and you look at Naboo, and you look at how the difference in the societal separation, and maybe where, like, I don't know. That to me doesn't bother me at all. Jar Jar specifically bugs me, and there was a cool rumor about him being like the Emperor's real like Master Sith Lord, and I really liked it because I thought it would have been a cool way to like him playing like this idiot on purpose
and slowly controlling everything.
Yeah, but I see Jar Jar as like this kid, and they killed him. They killed him in a book. I guess he was some jester or something like that. And they killed him off in some book that came out later that I guess is canon. Like, they killed Jar. Like, he's hated so much, somebody got to kill him in a book, and that's okay by Disney. Like, Jar Jar being dead. It's funny because and we'll progress Jar Jar, and I guess I'll just take care of Jar Jar now for me through 1, 2, and 3.
Oh yeah, no.
You see him a lot in 1. You see him somewhat in 2, and I don't think he's anything but just an appearance in 3.
Yeah, I think he's at like a ceremony.
Yeah, it's a ceremony, or it's with the Senate or whatever. I think he's just there. And so Jar Jar, Jar Jar is one of these things that just never hits the right comedic moment. I think that Jar Jar could have been a really great character had he just been done a little differently. And you talk about characters that are good for the kids, right? Star Wars is a family movie. It's a fun movie for everyone. Jar Jar could make a great, laughable character for people, kind of silly. People could enjoy it. But I remember being a kid seeing this movie in '99, and I'm looking at it now as an adult, and my opinion of him has not changed.
He's
Analytically,
a stupid character.
Yeah, he's an air breather that doesn't, like, he could be a dumb character that just hits the comedic timing perfectly.
Yeah, and he doesn't at all.
And he always misses the mark. I don't think I laughed at anything he did, and that's purely like just seeing, like, okay, maybe I didn't find it funny, but maybe he hit the mark on that. No. Every time Jar Jar makes a joke, it just isn't there. So I don't think he works. I did like seeing like things like R2-D2 saving the ship and the beginnings of him.
R2 was a badass.
Yeah, and I loved Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I thought that was fun because you got to see the only Obi-Wan we've ever had is the wise Obi-Wan, and he even gets wiser. In Episode 3 you get him. Episode 1 truly is, because that's such a year. It's like a 10-year gap between 1 and 2, story-wise. So I thought it was really cool to see kind of a young Obi-Wan, and a lot of people, I guess, didn't like that. But I rather enjoyed it. I liked Qui-Gon a lot, and I didn't have a problem with Anakin. I thought Natalie Portman was great. It's funny because
I think
you see in Marvel nowadays, they're trying to push hard on strong women. Star Wars has been doing it since the get-go. Luke Skywalker is a whiny bitch. I don't care. We'll get into that. Leia is strong as shit. Dude, you look at Anakin Skywalker through episodes 2 and 3, he is a whiny bitch. So like father, like son. I can't. Yeah, it is very annoying. But you look at Natalie Portman as Padme, she's strong and awesome, and I love her. Star Wars has been doing strong women. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I had a bit of an issue with the way, more episode 3, the way she was, than she was 1 and 2. I thought she was amazing.
So, I don't know why you had a problem with her in episode 3.
It was just parts of it.
What is she? What is she in episode 3?
They basically just made her the pregnant mom. Like,
yeah, what are you, 3 kids deep? Come on, like for a woman, that's a lot of change,
and it changes her, and I get that. It's just,
and at the same time,
she's in love.
She loves the Republic.
Yeah, and love.
Well, no, but the Republic is dying.
Yeah, and I mean, and she's fighting to save the Republic. She's fighting to save Anakin. She's in love with Anakin. She can't see that he's changed. Like, I get all of that. It was just...
And she's pregnant, dude.
And I know, and it just...
She's a badass. Straight up. You're wrong. She's awesome. Through every movie, she's great. You're wrong. You're wrong, sir.
I probably am, but it was...
You just are. You are wrong.
I almost laughed when she was like, "You're breaking my heart." And it was just like, oh, God.
No, he was.
He was though, and I get it.
Her heart.
I totally
You're killing
get it.
me,
It was
Steve.
Just, I don't know. But again, it was, you're this pregnant, weak woman that like, you're strong.
No, she wasn't weak.
But they were making her look weak up to that point in episode 3.
They were not. She was not weak ever.
And I don't know.
She was hurting, Steve. Hurting. Shame on you.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just. Yeah, there was. I don't know. There was amazing things I loved. So yeah, okay, next. Go to the next part.
Yeah. No. Well, it's just, then you get the war, or you get the fight, right? Qui-Gon, and you see him die to Darth Maul, and Darth Maul gets chopped in half.
Which pissed me off. Darth Maul was incredible. I'm sorry.
What do you mean? What? Did you watch Solo?
Darth Maul didn't have to die.
He didn't die.
No, I know, but I mean, they didn't have to kill him in episode 1.
They did.
I know it's to lead up to the whole everything else, but it was just like, ugh, you didn't...
No. Darth Maul had to die in episode 1.
I know, because if he doesn't die, then it doesn't lead to Anakin turning. I get it. But
yeah,
it just...
It makes sense. Like,
I know it makes sense.
If you skip 10 years of Darth Maul still being alive in like, under Sidious... Dude,
see, but that
dangerous.
See, this is where we talked about this before with the whole prequel thing, and where I have issue of this whole rule of two thing. Like, why couldn't Maul have just graduated to being a Sith Lord and have his own goddamn apprentice? He was
Because
cool
it doesn't
enough.
work that
He
way
could have
in
moved
the
off.
Sith. And he does just that. Oh God, man, I'm giving
No, I
stuff
know.
away.
No, I know. But it's just like,
Do you know that? You knew that? You knew he gets an apprentice?
yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
then you do know. All right. Well, Clone Wars does cool things for him, which will bring us to Solo. There's so many things. It's so
Yeah, I know.
good that this, like, Episode 1 and Solo are so connected in a weird
but
way.
That fight was so good. With
Yeah, and it was honestly, I think like it could have been cooler just because I hated that those stupid shield beams kept coming down, because
So
it
you
just
had to
slows
wait.
it down. Yeah, that was a bummer because all I want to do is see a double bladed lightsaber just start kicking ass against these two Jedi, right?
Yeah.
It was just, yeah. Anyway, but it was exciting, and in '99 it was exciting. It still was exciting. Now it's it's one of the, it's a good. One of the things that episodes 1, 2, and 3 does best is lightsaber battles. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, some of the best in the movies, in my opinion.
Well, I think part of it too was because they had so many Jedis to do battles with. They
Right,
actually were
and it was
able
fun.
to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't the boring like like you get to see Yoda do some cool stuff.
God,
Oh my
flipping all over the place.
Yeah, right. Which is just insane. So then we get to episode 2. All right, we'll go ahead and go there, which
Yeah.
is Attack of the Clones. How'd you feel about this one, Steve?
So to me, Attack of the Clones is probably my favorite of the three.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
Just because you get introduced to
Actually, not bummer. I think I might agree with you. Sorry. Keep going.
you get introduced to one of my favorite families, which is, I believe, probably one of your favorite families, which is the Feds. And so you get to see like the whole Django being like, great, yeah, you can clone me, make this massive army, but you've got to let me have a child that isn't going to be speed aged, and it lets you into this mysterious character that you hadn't seen before, which again, it's weird because of the way they came out. If people watched it from episodes 1 through, they wouldn't have the love for these characters that I had going into episode 2. Because as a kid, Boba Fett was my favorite. I don't know why. He was barely in the movies, but he was one of my favorite characters. I loved him.
Well, you looked at him.
Yes.
And he looked amazing. Plus, it didn't help, it did help that my uncle loved Boba Fett and Yoda, so those naturally, when I was a kid, those were my favorite characters to see.
Yeah, and so episode 2, you get to see lots of Yoda. You get to see...
Lots of Yoda.
You get to see the beginning of the Fets. To me, episode 2 is one of the better ones, just because of that.
There's a lot of battles, man.
Lots.
It's really good. The clone army comes into effect. I think actually, is this the one where? Yeah, because Dooku dies in 3. So yes, this is the one where the major battles start happening, and the biggest issue with episodes 2 and 3 is Anakin. Honestly, Hayden Christensen put on a piss poor performance, in my opinion, or he was told to act poorly. Like, one of the two things happened. Either he was just bad at acting, or I'll say this because and honestly, I don't like. I love who plays Luke. How come I can't
Mark
get
Hamill.
his name right now?
Mark
Thank
Hamill.
you. I love Mark Hamill. I hated Luke Skywalker as a kid. Couldn't stand him. He was whiny, and so it kind of held true. Like, Hayden Christensen put on the same show, in my opinion, that Mark Hamill did as Luke in the original trilogy. And so if you take it into that, he still was just this whiny fucking kid that I couldn't stand. It was annoying.
So this is where I start to lose our listener base. Is the more I've watched these movies, the more I realize that they are really, in overall general, they are really shittily acted. So, like, I had this fight with somebody a little while ago, and I realized that at the time, no, I was arguing what I thought was my point, where the original trilogy on itself wasn't that different than the prequel trilogy in that it was driving special effects forward with mediocre acting and an okay story. I absolutely love the movies. Like, don't get me wrong. But I know people are gonna hate me because I don't hold them to this extreme gold standard. Like, there's plot holes, there's issues with movies, characters that are really poorly developed that become main things like Jar Jar. Like, there's massive issues with the movies.
So there is something with the way Lucas does the movies and what his goal was. And so when he did 4, 5, and 6, he was looking for this campy type movie on purpose. Like, he did what he did on purpose with it. It was all done on purpose.
And it spawned one of the greatest special effects companies in the world. ILM is incredible.
But what I'm saying is that in its time, the acting and everything, it was all done on purpose. He wanted it written the way it was written because he wanted that campy way. The problem is when he did episodes 1, 2, and 3, that campiness didn't
fit anymore.
Hold. Yeah. It didn't hold. Yeah, and unfortunately it backfired on him a little bit. And I will say, for like Boba Fett, and you talk about Boba Fett and you talk about Jango, for me, I didn't like it. I still think to this day I don't like Jango Fett for the same reason that I don't like that they show Boba Fett as his clone. I don't like that they did that to him. I've always wondered, like, I liked that Boba Fett was this mysterious bounty hunter character. For me, this is just me.
No,
Boba Fett is one of my favorite characters in the world. I love Boba Fett. This is one of the biggest things that ruined a little bit of that for me. It ruined a little bit of the magic behind this mysterious bounty hunter that, as you said, you don't see a lot of. And because of that, they ruined it even more in the Clone Wars cartoon. They talk about Boba, they show Boba, and they show a little bit of that. And I didn't need it.
Yeah.
For me personally, I never needed a backstory on Boba Fett, and I was okay with that. However, I've looked past it. It was fine. I get it. They're telling a story, right? For me, this is where I take my emotions out. I think that 2 might be the strongest movie of the 3. 3 is really up there as well, and I think that it does some really great things with storytelling personally for Star Wars. And I don't look at it through the lens that you do, that you're talking about, because I don't. And when I watch 4, 5, and 6 analytically, it's going to be cool to see if maybe I come out with the same outcome as you're saying right now. And it might be because I've never looked at it that way, because it is nostalgia. Nostalgia is a powerful, powerful weapon, and it does things to people to make them love things forever without seeing the faults, for sure. So it'll be, maybe I'll change my tone on that when I watch 4, 5, and 6.
Who knows, when I watch 4, 5, and 6 again, maybe I'll look at them with less analytic as I have recently, and it'll be more rose-colored.
But I don't agree with you on this being poorly acted. Or were you talking about the original trilogy being poorly acted?
It was like,
I didn't think
that it's not that it's poorly acted. It's the campiness. The campiness it just didn't fit. The late 90s, early 2000s. It didn't.
But see, it does for me now. That's the main point I wanted to make. The campiness didn't work in the late 90s, early 2000s, but God, for some reason, I enjoy these movies more and more the more I watch them.
And to be honest, I'm not saying, I've watched them. I want to say I've watched episode 1, 2, and 3 have been my least watched out of all of them.
Oh, yeah, for good reason. I mean,
I still, at least, I want to say I've watched them at least 6 times. So it's not like I'm not watching these movies. It's not that I enjoy them. I enjoy them. I still really love them. It's just I don't have this nostalgic reverence for these movies that other people do. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole there's a lot of cool things that happen in this one. I mean, you get Dooku, right? And that was a lot of the problems is in episode 1 you get Darth Maul and he's gone. In episode 2 you get Dooku. They kill him first thing in episode 3, and then you get General Grievous. They keep changing
who the bad is,
when you
the big baddie.
Right. Yeah, and when you look at episodes 4, 5, and 6, your bad guy is Darth Vader and the Emperor.
Yeah,
right?
and that never changes.
That is a staple. And I do think that despite that's what makes those movies great, is the adversary is the same. it's Darth Vader. Like the Emperor really isn't even as big a deal as Darth Vader is. Vader is this focal point because he's a key, he's a key character to Luke.
Yeah.
What they do in this, and this kind of goes to your point earlier, you get Darth Maul and he goes away. You don't get to fall in love with this villain. You get Count Dooku and he's just kind of like, maybe what you're saying, like maybe get rid of Dooku. He really didn't make much sense as a character to just all of a sudden be in there with the Separatists, and like where did that come from? There's definitely some things that just kind of they build up, and I get that it's a 10-year gap, but maybe give Darth Maul the chance to be the apprentice throughout the 10-year gap,
Yeah.
like you're saying, and then let him continue on where now it's an actual bad guy that needs to be defeated, like something real. So you open up in episode 3, and maybe that battle of Darth Maul against, like, why couldn't Darth Maul be leading everybody in episode 2? Like, why did it have to be Dooku? Like, what was the need for that?
Yeah,
for sure.
Or Grievous. General Grievous was a great character.
Yes, he was, and he was fun. And what's cool is there's actually, do you remember Samurai Jack? At all? Do you remember that cartoon whatsoever?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, so Samurai Jack was this amazing cartoon on Cartoon Network.
Sorry.
So
brain fart.
But the artist who did Samurai Jack did Clone Wars. So there's these rare, and they're really hard to get your hands on. I actually have them both. But they did it's a 2-disc set that you can get. Well, it's 2 different series. You can almost call them seasons, where they did them in that art style. Well, they show why General Grievous coughs. Mace Windu did that to him.
Mm.
Yeah, so Mace Windu. So for you guys that don't know, General Grievous was a warrior, and I don't remember the planet he's from, but he was a prize warrior on the planet that he came from, an amazing fighter, and then he got offered the ability to be cybernetic parts, and he welcomed it, and he just kept doing more and more, and then as you saw, he got trained to use lightsabers and stuff like that. But like General Grievous has a really cool history, but the reason why he coughs is because Samuel Jackson, Mace Windu and Grievous face off, and Mace Windu is able to crush around where his organs are in his suit, and it screws him up, and he starts getting that cough. It's really cool. If you guys can ever get your hands on them, I own them. They're part of my collection. I'm really proud to own them. But if you ever watch the original Clone Wars, it's called Clone Wars. That's what makes it so difficult, is they ended up calling the new cartoon Clone Wars. They have no connection whatsoever. But it is some of the coolest Star Wars you will ever watch, I promise. It's really neat. You get to meet Varys. Is her name Varys? Crap. I can't remember her name right now. I think it's, that's going to bug me. Anyway, it'll come to me later, and I'll bring it up at another time. But anyway, you get to meet some really neat characters, and it kind of goes more into Dooku, and you get to see Dooku and Grievous together. Like, there's some really cool stuff that happens. It's very, very neat.
Yeah, and I think, in all honesty, I think that's what was missing from me from episodes 1, 2, and 3 is I wanted to see more of the Sith side of things, and how they, like, why they were so powerful, and how they were secretly being powerful in the background. Like, you got to see it with Chancellor Palpatine. You got to see that part of it and how he was manipulating stuff, but
that wasn't enough, man.
No, it felt like there was no real evil that they were striving to take down.
Yeah, and so what's cool is this honestly probably would have made 3 a more successful movie. If they had done episodes 1, and then they had done a series that fills in the gap of those 10 years, like they did with Clone Wars, because Clone Wars takes place between episodes 2 and episodes 3.
Yes.
But if they'd done some sort of series to explain what happens between those, that would have been growth. That would have been something. When you watch Clone Wars, you get this fill-in. Episodes 2, if episode 2 came out and then they released a lot of the Clone Wars stuff, like all of it maybe, that would have helped you fall in love with Anakin, but then you would have had, oh my God, so many good characters. But like, you would have seen a lot more development with Dooku. So there's a lot of Dooku. There's a lot of General Grievous. So now you see those both at the same time, right? And you see a lot of that fill-in place, and you get a lot of story. And so it's interesting because we get to see some cool battles. Yoda with the younglings was a really cool scene.
Really cool
I loved
scene.
that. Yeah, Obi-Wan interacting with the missing galaxy was really, really neat. And I even wrote in my notes, Django introduction was exciting. And this is coming. Like I said, I was purely analytical on this. Because it was. It was exciting. You get to see this bounty hunter in a very familiar armor that you've seen before. And you get to see a lot of cool stuff with that. One of my other notes...
The battle on the Outer World between him and Obi-Wan, when he's really just fighting to get Boba off the planet.
At the clone place.
Yeah, at the clone place. That battle was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, so I wrote Django and Obi-Wan both on land and in space, because you get the whole space battle too, where they're dropping all the cool stuff off of Slave One and trying to shake Obi-Wan, which was really, really neat.
Yeah, and the way it was exploding the asteroids around him, and
Kamino, by the way, Kamino is the clone place. Kamino's where they were. Because I have notes here that says Obi-Wan and Dax talking about Kamino. Like that whole scene when he's in that little cafe and he's talking to his old four-armed buddy Dax.
Yes.
I loved that scene. That was a great scene.
There were so many scenes that, like,
there's so many good things in
were
this
just so well done. Yeah, that's why episode 2 is definitely by far my favorite. Yeah,
there's another one where my second note is Anakin whiny right off the bat with Padme. Like he starts, I think that's referring to, because Anakin meets Padme for the first time, and he's all complaining, like, she didn't even look at me. I've been thinking of her for the last 10 years, every second of my day, and she doesn't even know who I am. And then
it's like,
as soon as Obi-Wan, as soon as she's with her.
When you met the first time, she was like 15, like...
Yeah, and then as soon as like Obi-Wan goes away and he's set to guard Padme, he's like, oh, he never lets me be the Jedi I've always wanted to be, and I'm blah blah yada yada yada. And see, that's not the Anakin we get in the Clone Wars cartoon. The Anakin we get in the Clone Wars cartoon is amazing. Just saying it. If I haven't stressed enough to everyone, this is the most I get to talk about Clone Wars cartoon. It's the greatest thing ever. You need to watch it. We
will get to watch it. I'm gonna watch it, and we will talk about it before they release it. I believe they're going to release it in spring of next year, I believe was...
Okay, sweet. Yeah, and we'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
One of my other notes was the execution scene with the monsters, and then you get all of the Jedi. This is where Django dies to Mace Windu. It was real quick and easy or whatever. I mean, he's Mace Windu. But, like, you get to see those cool monsters, man, and that's when you're on... I don't remember, Geonosis is what it's called. Yep. Geonosis is a big place in the Clone Wars series too. Like Geonosis, there's a lot that goes on there. But like, they show the plans for the Death Star and all this really cool stuff that's happening there. And this is kind of the buildup. This is, the clone armies happen, the war has begun, Palpatine's plans are all happening. Yoda fights Dooku after Obi-Wan and Anakin fight Dooku, and that is just such a cool... That is one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars.
Yes.
In Star Wars is when Yoda drops the cape. Yoda doesn't grab his lightsaber.
No, he forces it out.
He forces it to. Yeah. He doesn't mess around, okay? And you get to see him just jump in and roll. It was one of the coolest lightsaber battles in Star Wars. And
I'll be honest, my favorite lightsaber in all of Star Wars is Dooku's.
Dooku's lightsaber is really cool. It's a sweet hilt. Yeah, it's really, really neat. And it's style, man. It looks good. And it's cool to see Master and Apprentice go at each other. What little story they give to Dooku. He is Yoda's apprentice, or was Yoda's apprentice, and he went to the dark side, and it was just cool to see Yoda gets to show you what being strong in the light side can do for you, right? And
he catches electricity. He catches the electricity and reflects it back. Like, come on.
He doesn't care. Yoda don't give a shit. He's a honey badger. All right, that's my last note for episode 2 was Yoda exclamation point.
No, Yoda was so good.
Yep. And in episode 3, it's interesting. So you look at Return of the Jedi, and we'll go more into that, but it starts with action with the Hutt, right? Yeah. It's Jabba the Hutt, and he's got Han Solo in the Carbonite. Well, in episode 3, we open up with a major ship battle, right? And so we get to see Anakin's ship skills along with Obi-Wan, and they have those the Saw droids, and they land, and now they're trying to get Grievous, and they get to the point where they kill Dooku, right? And that's when you start seeing Anakin really give into the dark side, and it also gives away a lot about Palpatine being the Emperor because he's really excited to make him kill Dooku, and he beheads him. It's just, as soon as he does it, he's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's like, oh, shucks.
Shucks.
Oh, shucks, yeah. And then...
So my favorite part about that opening scene that you just described was actually R2-D2.
He was so good. When he lights the oil on fire, he's fighting everybody.
Takes out those two massive... battle droids inside that hangar. Just him by himself chilling. He's like, yeah, no, you're on fire. All right, I'm gonna go get the elevator now.
And that's comedic timing.
Yes.
Like, you don't need Jar Jar when you've got R2-D2. All I'm saying.
Or C-3PO.
Right? Like,
C-3PO is annoying as shit, but comedically, he is on time with almost every joke.
And that's why he's great. He's supposed to be this annoying droid, but he nails his point. He's just always good.
Yeah.
Right? He's good, right? Like Chewie just yells, just growls at the air, and he's more on point with comedic timing than Jar Jar Binks.
Completely agree.
Right?
Yep.
Speaking of Chewbacca, we get to see him in episode 3, which is really cool.
Yes.
Right as Yoda is leaving to be exiled, or he exiles himself. So, episode 3 is interesting. I agree with you, actually. I think 2 is the stronger one.
There was parts of 3 that I felt were really, really, really well done.
Do explain.
Anakin killing the younglings.
Yes, which is sad.
It is,
man. That still hurt me to watch.
Oh, it hurt me too. Watching it, I was like, I felt like a little tear welling. Like, I wasn't crying, but it was like, it hit. And I was just like, I didn't expect it. But it was...
Yeah.
It needed to happen, and it was really hard to watch, and they needed to show it. And I was glad they showed it.
3's Tatooine, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 3's Tatooine, when he goes back and he tries to save his mom.
Yeah. And then...
That was really good. I really liked that scene with his mom, and like when he loses it.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm okay with that.
He gets angry, he goes off and takes care of the raiders or whatever that hurt his mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Tusken Raiders.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I loved that part. Like, it's really, really... And then Yoda is sensing, like, the hurt and the anger and the everything, right? Like, Yoda's just... He's hurting with him at that moment, and he's having the visions about it and stuff like that. And then, you get to see some of the plans of the Emperor, and, like, he puts Anakin on the council, and they don't make him a master, and he's butthurt about it.
I think you're cutting out.
Oh, do you hear me?
Oh, no, now I hear you. All right, we're good.
Okay, I was saying, and then you get Anakin, and he's whiny about the fact that he didn't get given master after Palpatine puts him in power on the council. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, he was angry about not going on council. It was cutting in and out, but it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bitch for you to edit.
It's going to be fun, but it's fine. I'll just leave it in. It'll just be both of us going, hello? Hello? Are you there?
No, don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, it's... I mean, they tried really hard to show the internal struggle with Anakin and why he was turning. And I respect that in it, but I don't think it went far enough. I don't know if it could just be Hayden Christensen being a really shitty actor.
I don't know, man. It's tough for me. I mean, I get, like, I don't get why he was so jealous of Obi-Wan. Like, I don't understand that part. Like, I get that he had visions of Obi-Wan being there for Padme's birth when she dies.
And him being there with, like, Obi-Wan being there for the birth, but him not. And again, I get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it warrants... he turned on Obi-Wan far too quickly for me, and that might just be showing the power of the dark side. And Sidious, Sidious is a strong Sith Lord.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong there. He is very, very powerful. So I mean, his influence on Anakin is pretty deep. He's dug his claws in pretty good by that point, and I mean everything's coming to fruition. You know, it's I don't know. It was very hard. Revenge of the Sith. Sorry if we didn't say the name of episode 3. I don't know.
The other part I liked about episode 3 was what did he call it? Operation 66.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about
the extermination of the Jedi Order.
Yeah, but that's not what it is. It's not. I don't think it's 66. Oh my God! If you hadn't said that,
it can come up as okay, we need to fix this later.
Yeah.
Or we both just Google it right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Order 66? Is it Order 66? Yeah, Order 66. That's what it is. Order 66. Yeah. Order 60. Not Operation. Order 66. But yeah, commence Order 66. Yeah, when they turn on everybody. That was tough.
That was really tough to watch. And seeing, like, some of them, it was like, okay, you know, not a big deal. Like, the Obi-Wan thing, because you know he's going to be okay. But
right,
the ones where... the one that really stuck was... I think there was like 6 or 7 clone troopers around one Jedi just lighting him up with a blaster even after he had gone down.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like, the overkill.
Yeah, and it gets a little crazy because like there's a couple cool fights in there. Obi-Wan versus General Grievous, as that's all happening before Order 66, of course.
Yeah.
But that's why he's isolated. He's dealing with that. And then he doesn't die there. They all try to kill him while he's there. And then you have Yoda ends up going and fighting the Emperor. And then that's when he puts himself in exile when he fails to beat the Emperor, which was crazy. That's after Anakin, like you said, kills the younglings and everything. Yeah. It's just, it was interesting. It was interesting to see.
Yeah. I like the story development they tried to do.
Yeah, and then, I mean, it ends with, you know, well, it doesn't end with, but then on Mustafar, that's when Obi-Wan goes and fights Anakin, and then he tells him he's got the high ground and all that crap. And what I love about that part is that Ewan McGregor just sells how hurt he is.
You were the chosen one.
Right. Like, he fell to Qui-Gon's belief.
Yeah.
Right, like he followed suit with it so hard.
He kept his word to his master that I will train him. I will make him what he's supposed to be. And it turned out that what he was supposed to be wasn't good.
Yep, and he does bring balance to the Force, but not the way that they thought.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just it was painful to watch. And I think 1 through 3. Sorry, we've kind of gone a little ways with these, but. And we still have Solo to talk about, and I want to talk about Solo.
So do I.
Yeah, 1 through 3 weren't as bad. They're not my favorites. I don't enjoy watching them as much as I still watching. I don't like A New Hope. I'll just say that right now. It's not my favorite movie in the world. I don't like Han Solo. I don't like Luke Skywalker. I love Princess Leia, and and I love Chewie. Right, so we'll get into that after I get to rewatch them again. But every time I watch A New Hope, I'm bored. But as soon as Empire starts, I'm so happy. And with 1, 2, and 3, it's one of those things like I think every movie has something I like in it.
Yeah. There's stuff I can hate on in almost every movie, but yeah.
But overall, it's still Star Wars, man.
Yep.
It's still Star Wars.
Completely agree. All right, let's move on to Solo.
So let's talk about this.
Yep.
What did you think of Solo?
Honestly, I really, really enjoy Solo.
Okay. I'm so happy to hear that. Because I also, this is the second time I've watched Solo. And it was cool because, you know, the first time I watched Solo was just to watch Solo.
Yeah.
The second time I get to watch Solo is analytically. So it's interesting. But, dude, it is a nonstop joyride for me. I love, love, love Solo. I think it's a good movie.
It is. And I mean, a lot of people hate on it, but the funniest part is what I like about the movie isn't even Han Solo.
No.
The
What
guy
I
who
love
played
about the movie
the guy
is
who played Solo did an amazing job.
Yes, he did.
I'm going to be
the
bad.
casting was great.
Casting was incredible. But the little nuances that they put in there, like the fact that they show that Han has always known how to speak Chewie and never does,
Yeah.
shows how big of a dick he has always been in every other movie.
Well, it's not really even like a dick. Like, it's just like, you know, he didn't need to. Like, they even kind of evolved it a little bit where he doesn't need to speak because Chewie can understand English.
Yeah, but he never does.
So right, and he doesn't need other people to understand what Chewie said. He needs to just know what Chewie said, and that's all that matters. And he holds it close to the chest because, yeah, Han Solo is a dick, and he's a cocky prick. And I thoroughly enjoyed his character. It was Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah, I just had to look it up too.
Yep. So yeah, you open up with the whole Han Solo and the Kira love story, right?
Yeah.
On Corellia, I think is where they're at.
Yes.
And they're under some like supreme person, Proxima, who's
yep.
like who's forcing them to do things, bad things or whatever. And then he gets off planet by joining the Imperial Army, right? At the same time, Kira didn't make it, right? So what I love about it, like the dice, right?
Yes.
I love the interactions. I love it. But yeah, that's kind of where it starts. So now what is it, like a 3-year jump or something, and you get him to interact finally with the new group or whatever that Woody Harrelson is playing.
He's Beckett.
Like Beckett, yeah, and then you got Rio and Val, and I don't remember. I think that was it.
That was it. There was three.
Yeah, it was those three. Okay.
Again, a character that was barely in the movie that is one of my favorites was Rio. I really wish they showed more of Rio.
And who plays Rio?
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. That man is my God. Rio was so good. And you know what? You want to talk about good character development. That's a character I fell in love with and hated seeing dying.
Full on. I think I just need to rest it for a second. And it's
it killed me. It sold it.
And it was like 20 minutes into the movie. Like there was no time to build this character, but you were invested in him.
But remember who our director is. It's Ron freaking Howard.
I know. But he didn't even direct it from the very beginning. He like took over partway through.
He came in, and
cleaned it up.
Yeah, and you get like, oh my God. It just Jon Favreau playing Rio. Like Rio was such a good character. That cast was so well done because you don't get to love them long.
Yeah.
Val. But you feel something when they go.
Val's sacrifice.
When Val goes.
Yeah. Oh.
And for what? For nothing, man.
For absolutely
all of
nothing.
it for nothing.
Yeah. You lose Rio and Val for literally nothing. Just to drive the story further is really all it was.
Well, in the eyes of us.
Yeah.
But for them, this was going to be a score. They were trying to set their friends for life, and in the end, it just ended up being Beckett, who got nothing but a loss.
Yeah. Which then leads you to... So after that, after these deaths and the loss of characters I fell in love with instantly, you then get to go with Beckett and Han to go meet the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, right. And that's where we get to meet, Dryden Voss, I think is his name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who, by another actor I absolutely love. I don't think I've seen him do anything bad. Paul Bettany.
Nope, he is amazing in every movie he plays in. We've already bragged about him when we talked about Vision.
Yep.
We bragged about him in A Beautiful Mind and in A Knight's Tale. Like, he's just a good actor. He's incredible, and he doesn't fail here either. He plays a great villain as Dryden Voss, and it's interesting to see him in that role.
Yep, and again, It's not even just straight up evil. Like, there's different layers to even the way he's playing this bad character.
Exactly, right? He's playing. He just plays the part so well. My all-time favorite characters in the whole thing, though, were L3 and Lando.
Yes.
I thought that Donald Glover and and Phoebe Walker-Bridge
Waller-Bridge.
or Waller-Bridge,
Waller-Bridge.
Waller-Bridge, their performance as L3 and Lando was so good.
Amazingly so well done. And I'll be honest, the first time I watched Solo, I actually thought that it was played by the same person who played Brienne.
So did I. It's funny you say that because I heard the same voice. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's who that is. But no, I don't think that,
It's
like,
not. Like as soon as I looked at it,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that is so not who I thought it was. And I mean, that just goes again to how well acted it was.
Yep. And it was just so, like, her character was just so good about freeing the robots and doing, like, all the droids must go free. And every scene that they were in was so good. Playing Sabak,
Yeah.
Lando, like, he just sells Lando so well. And the chemistry between Han and Lando was perfect.
Oh,
It was perfect.
So well done.
And it was a lot of nostalgia. That whole movie was just filled, jam-packed with nostalgia of things you'd seen in the movies that you just loved seeing a history, and it's so much fun.
It built on what you saw on Cloud City and that interaction between Lando and Han. That instant, like, it was a brotherhood, but you could tell there was competition and there was history there, and you wanted to know what that history was, and this showed you.
Right,
Where it
and
all
it got
came
to
from.
show you, how he got the Millennium Falcon, why he gets to talk about the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, like why these things are such a big deal in their lives, and why them meeting each other is a big, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you see them in the original trilogy meet each other, where that history comes from, and the biggest enemy to Solo, honestly, was timing, and I don't know why Disney did it. I was perfectly content with Christmas being Star Wars time. But they jammed this movie between Incredibles 2, which was a long-awaited sequel,
Super long awaited sequel.
Infinity War, which,
Right.
was a long-awaited, beginning to an end, and Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Why did you put this movie in this space? Like, why wasn't it released in December? Why didn't we get Star Wars in December? Like, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
I think Solo, and because of its failure, they reared back on telling Star Wars stories.
It was part of it. Yeah, I agree with that completely. What was considered a failure of Solo is why they're cutting back on for at least 2 years.
And it was dumb. It was stupid. It was so stupid because Solo, if you've, I guess if you haven't watched the movie, then I'm sorry, we just told you a bunch of stuff. But I mean, have we given anything away?
I don't think we have really.
We didn't talk about Enfys Nest and who that is.
No, and we didn't. Which again, the actress that played, I guess I kind of gave away that part a little bit.
A little bit.
But yeah, the person who played Enfys Nest, I hadn't seen before in that sort of role. But again, very well done.
Very well done. And I loved it. I loved the connection there. I loved what they were fighting for.
Yep.
I loved seeing Han like see what he could have been a part of in his early life that he later becomes a part of anyway.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what it breeds going forward. Like really what this actually starts.
And that's what made it crazy is like the Crimson Dawn was the major like behind the scenes kind of villain there, but you didn't have to really pay attention to that much.
No.
Like with Kira working for Dryden, and what was going on with that relationship, and then, her relationship with Han and seeing them together, and then his relationship built with Chewie and his relationship with or Lando, and Lando with L3, and what happens with L3, and like the Millennium Falcon, and like it was about relationships. It was about moments, and it was really great. The moments with Rio and Val, and
yes.
getting to meet Bennett, and I guess we did give away that they die, so we did give away some. But either way, it doesn't. I mean, the movie's been out. Like if you haven't seen it,
Emilia Clarke as Kira, honestly, is incredibly well done.
Yep.
We hadn't even talked really about her and like her story arc and how she grew from like this love-struck person just like Han was, but how she had to do what she needed to survive and how that shaped her.
And I think one of my favorite moments of the movie is the end with showing who the head of Crimson Dawn is.
Yeah.
And that's because that requires you to watch the Clone Wars to make that make sense. Because I'm sure people who only watched the movies looked at that and went, what the heck? That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. But if you watch Clone Wars, they explain it fully, and it's not stupid at all, people. Not stupid at all. If you thought the head of Crimson Dawn at the very end of the movie, who, ends up communicating on the ship, if you thought it was dumb that person's, I guess I already said, well, no, I guess I won't make the connection. But either way.
We'd hinted at it.
That's fully explained.
Yeah.
We did. But it's fully explained in Clone Wars. They explain all of it.
And
watch the cartoon. I'm here again talking about Clone Wars.
With me not having watched Clone Wars and seeing that interaction at the end of it, that was amazing to me. Like, I was like, yes! Yes! So excited. Like, there was, And Han shooting first, without giving away anything. That's been the debate forever. Does he shoot first? And we'll talk about that in the next one, because that's part of the whole 4, 5, and 6 thing.
Yeah, right. Yep.
He full on shoots first in this movie. And
yes, he does. And that was amazing. Woody Harrelson's character is Beckett too. All the lessons he's teaching Han and the things that are happening in that relationship. I loved it.
And you can see how that shapes Han going forward.
Yep. Like, it's a fun ride, man. I can't give this movie enough love. And if you do not like Solo, if you're a hater of Solo, I don't understand why.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm like, which is so weird, because critically, this was shit on. Like, seriously shit on. Like, I think if we...
It's a 7 out of 10 on IMDb and 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So it's gotten... I'm pretty sure that's come up. I'm like, when it came out, I want to say it was low 60s.
Nobody watched the movie, man.
And I think that's the problem, is there was a few people that watched it, and then the ones that did just hated on it. And as more people have watched it over time, it has just gotten so much more love, and rightfully so. The more I watch it, the more I enjoy it. The more nuance I get out of it, that I just absolutely love. Like,
it is a fun movie. It's a fun movie. It's probably the funnest Star Wars movie.
Yes.
If I was to talk about a movie, that is the funnest Star Wars movie. There's not a more fun movie than that one.
Yeah, it is not designed to be serious at all. It is just fun.
It has its serious moments, but it is a fun ride, man.
Its story is meant to be, this is fun. And
it does, like, Ron Howard sells me on it, man. It's one of my favorites. I love Solo. I thought, and you know what's funny? I hate Han Solo. I don't like him. But I don't like 4, 5, and 6 Solo, because I liked old crotchety Solo and the new ones, and I enjoyed young Solo in this movie. And because of that, it's kind of grown on. I'm excited to watch 4, 5, and 6 again with my newfound love of young and old Solo.
We'll see if
maybe I can love middle-aged Solo.
The way we're watching this is actually, it's reinvigorating my love. And I think I've said reinvigorating like 7 times during this episode. But I'm seeing connections that I didn't see when I watched them initially, which it's amazing, because we're watching them in order. So you're seeing things as they progress. Yes, we have knowledge of what's coming, but you're seeing the little, almost like Easter eggs they planted early on in movies that lead to these other things farther on. And it's things I missed. And the more I watch it, the more I get to see them. And it's cool. I like that we're doing it this way, and I'm really glad we chose to do it. So I hope people put up with us.
I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and it's just fun. Solo's such a good movie. It's probably it was so fun. It was so fun. It was a fun movie. It was a fun movie to watch my least favorite ship in Star Wars with my least favorite character in Star Wars. Well, no, I hate Luke more than Solo, but
yeah, I mean, we'll get into that for sure, because
I hate Luke so much. We'll get it. Yeah, we'll get there. I just don't like Luke Skywalker. I never have. I don't think I ever will. But I love Mark Hamill, because he's the Joker.
All right, people. Mark Hamill, he's a great actor too, though. Like, he is. He falls into that whole William Shatner mold, where William Shatner as a standalone person is actually a really good actor, but because he ended up playing a character that was so campy for so long that you can't not see him that way. And he even plays on it. He's admitted many times in interviews that he just full on embraces the overacting Captain Kirk and goes with it now. But he's just good. I like Captain Kirk. I know I'm branching off to a different star and people are going to be mad at me because I'm bringing Trek into wars, but it's that same type of acting.
Talking about Shatner?
Yeah, Shatner.
Yeah, I like Mark Hamill. I don't like Luke Skywalker.
No, and I don't blame you for that. So
yeah, but Solo, people, if you haven't watched it, we ruined some things for you. Sorry.
Yeah,
but it's a great movie. We didn't ruin everything. We actually kind of skipped over some stuff, and it's still a fun ride no matter what. It is worth your time. It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's a good
completely
time.
Agree.
It's a good movie, man.
All right, so on that, we're gonna be ending. It's just over an hour on this episode. Wow.
Oh man.
And yeah, so you will be, by the time we record our next one, you are going to be on vacation. So there will be a slight sound difference for those that are listening. Hopefully I'll try and save it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we've been saying the last few episodes and continue to say, we love that you guys are listening to us. We want to continue to grow, get more people. If you have one friend that you think might like what we put out there, just play him a snippet. Get him doing, don't start with episode 1 and 2 because our audio sucks. And I get it. And I know it. There's no way for me to save our audio.
Oh, they can start with 1 and 2 if they want.
I'm kidding. I like listening to how we've grown since episode 1. So to me, that's part of our journey. We sounded really bad. We were just two guys throwing together a podcast and talking about what we love. And that's part of just what our show is. It's the two of us sitting here talking about what we love. And
it's a fact.
So, yes, if you know somebody that you think might enjoy listening to us talk, play them a little bit. Maybe they'll fall in love. Maybe they won't. But, it helps us. If you want to get in contact with us, my Twitter is CanYouGeek. Aaron's is Southam Designs. It's going to be in the show notes. Facebook group, Can You Geek Nerds, which we both need to get more active on our social medias for this. It's coming. We have a Patreon now, which is patreon.com/CanYouGeek, which will get you access into our Discord, private section of the Discord, where we will eventually be giving you exclusive access to us or content, as well as you get first priority for the mailbag, which we would love to do. We just need more questions to come in. Yeah. And I mean, this is lots of me talking about how to contact us. So please contact us. We want to interact with you more. We want your input. We want to include you in our content. So.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Yes. Thank you. So later, nerds.
Later, nerds.
Today's music is used by permission from the artist Broke for Free. The song is called Something Elated. You can find it on freemusicarchive.org and the music Broke for Free.